of the essence with those attendees who are present. And first start off with an MLS view. You may be asking yourself, I thought this was the new Idaho member benefit, not Paragon MLS. But this is a demo account that we received to show you integration with Paragon MLS to access your TransactionDesk member benefit. So from your Paragon MLS account, once you log into your Paragon MLS account, you're going to access your resources section. Pardon my mouse for a moment, but you're going to go to the resources section, top third of the screen, right hand corner, clicking on resources. We refer to this resources link as a one-click sign-in, because you're going to find here the name of our company, Instanet. The name of our company is Instanet Solutions. The name of our products, our platform, is TransactionDesk. So we are Instanet Solutions. Our product is TransactionDesk web-based platform. Within TransactionDesk, there's a number of services. InstanetForms is your new member benefit. Under the resources section, Instanet, when we click here, one-click sign-in, we're going to be automatically logged into our new TransactionDesk account. All of that MLS information, whether you're using Paragon MLS or Flex MLS or Market Links, however you're accessing through your whatever type of MLS account you have, one-click sign-in. That MLS is going to deliver to us all of your MLS information, your name, your office affiliation, your contact information, email address, cell phone numbers, office numbers will be passed to us to create your new TransactionDesk account. So when we click on this one-click sign-in, we call it one-click because there's no requirements for additional usernames or passwords. You click on the one-click sign-in, you're going to be automatically logged in. The first time you do that, as I'm going to feign this click for a moment, as I click, we're going to be logged into we're going to go through the process to log into our TransactionDesk account for the first time. So we clicked on that one-click sign-in. We're going to go first through what we call the pre-flight system. The first time that you log in, pre-flight system check. Because TransactionDesk is a web-based platform, we're going to make sure that you have the right browser compatibility settings. Make sure you have some basic internet requirements set so that you're going to get the best browsing experience. And the first thing that you want to do is allow pop-ups from TransactionDesk. Please allow pop-ups from TransactionDesk to allow features and system messages and prompts and calendar icons and save prompts and all of these pop-ups from TransactionDesk. So please do allow that. First time you log in, I guarantee it's going to block that. So if you're going to get that message, this website is attempting to launch a pop-up, please do allow that pop-up. Otherwise, on my screen here on the left-hand side of the screen, left-hand column here, a bunch of green check marks. My computer is set up for pop-ups. It's set up for browser and operating system and Adobe plugin. If yours is not, you may receive some red X's here. Red X's will also offer instructions on how to take corrective actions. So in terms of browser and OS, for Windows PCs, for those of you who are Windows users, we do support the big three: Internet Explorer, Firefox, and Chrome. For Mac users, we support Safari browser. So Mac users, Safari browser. PC users, Internet Explorer, Firefox, or Chrome browser and OS. We do want to make sure that you have Adobe settings as well, Adobe plugin, just the Reader version. So just please make sure that Adobe Reader is your default PDF viewer when using Internet Explorer or Firefox browsers. So it's going to go through, it's going to check these. I got a bunch of green checks for my internet requirements. If you get red X's, you will also receive instructions on how to take corrective actions. Otherwise, we're going to keep moving forward. We're going to click here, top right corner, top third right corner, and click here. Again, this is just the first time that you log in. You're going to go through these settings. You want to set your, I think you want to go ahead and set your time zone and accept the terms of service. Basically, familiarize yourself with it, but in the essence, please just agree not to resell our product. And otherwise, I think you can agree to our terms. Bottom third of the screen, right-hand corner, we're going to click to continue. We're now going to be officially logged into our TransactionDesk InstanetForms online account. And when you have InstanetForms Only, I'm going to recommend using the Pro view. There are two separate views to the Transaction Desk service, the Transaction Desk Platform, if you will. The Transaction Desk Platform offers a light view, the less is more approach, the most commonly used features. But we also offer what we refer to as the Pro view. So if light is less is more, then Pro is more is better. And when you're working with forms only, I think the more the better. So I'm going to switch views here, top right corner. I'm going to encourage you to do the same. InstanetForms Pro, top third of the screen, right hand corner. Because when you're working in a forms only, I just think you're going to get the highest and best use out of the Pro view. If you decide to add additional services like AuthentiSign and DocBox and tasks, then maybe the light view. When you start adding more choices, you might want to use the light view. But in terms of forms only, the Pro view is, I think, your best bet. It's all about transaction files, and with this session, we're just going to go right into it. We're going to jump right into creating a new transaction file. We have a new client, we have a new prospect, a referral, somebody where we have would otherwise reach for a manila folder to start filling it with paper forms and handwriting contracts. We want to go online. We're going to log into TransactionDesk to create a new transaction file, to type up a packet of forms, to deliver that packet, that typed up packet of forms as an email, or then we'll print it once we type it up. Or we're going to add services like AuthentiSign to get digital signatures. But any way you slice it, we're going to start up here with transactions. I'm in the top third of the screen, basically center transactions. You can access the transactions here, or probably more right in front of us here to start new or work with existing transactions. The first time that you log in, you're not going to have any transaction files, but what I think it is worth the consistency of clicking on the link in the top third of the screen to go to transactions. Each time you want to start a new file or work with the files that you've created previously, click on that transactions link, because we'll both have visibility into the transactions that we set up already or not. We'll also have that option to create new transactions. And while we're here, I want to point to this essential phrase, I would like to. This is an essential feature of InstanetForms and the TransactionDesk platform. I would like to. This is a consistent phrase throughout the TransactionDesk platform. Every time you see that phrase, I would like to, it's going to be in association with these little drop-down triangles, which are going to yield menus of choices. Now, we don't have any transactions, so we don't have a whole lot of choices. As we start adding transaction files, we'll have additional choices. But start identifying this phrase, I would like to. That's where you're going to find 85% of the features and services in these drop-down menus. I would like to create a new transaction. Click on the arrow to go to that step, that next functional step of creating a new transaction. In creating a new transaction, we really have quite a few different ways to start a new file. Sometimes that's good. Choices are good. But we are going to start this file by just starting a new transaction. Top third of the screen, left-hand side, that little blue circle there by new transactions. But before we get started, I just want to point out that you can also change the view to populate from an existing transaction. So as you start to create new files, you can start new files from the ones you've already set up. But my personal favorite is from transaction templates, and we do follow-up webinars to talk about how to set up transaction templates. But think of the template as that, a way to predetermine just exactly what forms you want to automatically add to this new file. And it really gives you that opportunity to give yourself a leg up, to start building content to benefit from starting new files. But the first time going through here, we're just going to start a new transaction from scratch, basically, by first and really only requirement to give that new file a name. So transaction name, whether it's a new buyer or a new seller or a new landlord or tenant, we're just going to give this transaction file a name, and we're going to go with our buddy Jackson, yes. Maybe it's our referral. We worked with Terry previously, and Terry referred their sister, Barbara, to us, who now wants to do a listing, single-family residential listing. listing their property for sale. And what type of property? Everything from here down is optional. What do you know about this new referral, this new client or prospect? We know that they are a residential property and they're going to be listing, so we're going to change that transaction type. You have MLS import opportunities to bring MLS information into our new transaction files. Perhaps this is an expired listing previously, or it is a sold or withdrawn or something to that effect. If you have an existing MLS ID, you can use this service here to import that property information, address, city, state, zip, legal description, tax ID. We can bring that information into start our new file. It's pretty obvious right here, right in front of our face. I'm going to show you the not so obvious place to import into an existing. So once we get our file started, we can then import property information into that existing file, and that's what I'm going to show here in about another 90 seconds to 2 minutes. But it's here, it's available, part of the integrations with the MLS. We saw the single sign-on integration. This is the MLS import to bring property details into your transaction files. We're going to walk through a wizard that's going to prompt us to add some details, property information, contacts, our forms. So we're going to walk through those steps of starting our new file. We are going to be referred to as a listing agent because we chose residential sale. We can change that if we need to, but otherwise we'll stick with the listing agent and start this new transaction. So in essence, we've given our file a name, chose a type, and identified ourselves as the listing agent, and we're going to start this new file. Pop-up message. Here's the first example. It's not really my favorite example of pop-ups, but it is an example of the pop-up messages. We'll see some better ones here as we go forward. But this one is just talking about transaction files, and maybe the best thing about this message is that you can check this do not show again message to suppress that pop-up. But otherwise, think of a transaction file as a replacement of that manila folder filled with paper. We're going to start this transaction file and fill it with digital forms and type up those online digital copies. The wizard's just a quick way to add some details. We can save and exit at any time, but otherwise add the details we have, skip it, and come back at any time. So I'm going to close that message, and that's where we are right now. We're on the property information. What do we know about this property? Do we have an address? Do we have a city, state, zip? Well, I'm going to import from MLS here in just a moment, so I'm going to leave this blank. But I am going to scroll down the page so that you can see the fields that are available, and to recommend that you do add information because it will auto-fill any forms that we add to this transaction. Forms is the fifth step down here from our little wizard chain here. Property information first. Second step, as we're just going to click through next, second step is dates. Do we have any dates, a list date, expiration date, any of these becoming obvious or clear to us? If this isn't immediately obvious, this little blue icon, clicking on it is a calendar. It's going to give us that opportunity, pop-up message, to select dates from the calendar. Pop-up message, calendar icon, to select appropriate dates from that calendar. There are no required fields. Add the detail that you have, disregard the rest. Click on the blue next buttons to go to the next step. In this case, contacts. I've been added in. Your account's going to be affiliated with an office. That broker and office will be added in when you start your new files. The I would like to phrase, I would like to, yes, I would like to add a new transaction. Contact, clicking on the arrow to go do just that. I want to add a seller type. Barbara Jackson is my seller. I want to add Barbara to my transaction file. Barbara Jackson, Barbara Jackson is a new prospect. And what do I know about Barbara? I've got a cell phone and an email address. How about that? Not only do I want to add Barbara to my transaction file, but I also want to save her to my TransactionDesk contacts. So that's why I'm going to check that box, add to my contacts. So as I scroll over to the bottom right corner to save this contact information, two things happen. One, Barbara is added to my transaction file as a seller. 2, Barbara is saved into my TransactionDesk contacts so that I can insert Barbara into outbound email messages, into new transaction files, and use her within that TransactionDesk platform. If there was additional sellers, husbands and wives, brothers and sisters, parents and children, add them in as separate contacts so that each will autofill those printed name fields under the signature lines. So add them in separately, go through the steps, add in that additional seller contact or other contact types. There are no restrictions or maximum contact entries. When you have completed as many contacts, click on Next. Step is Forms. We want to now select the forms. I would like to phrase, starting to get it consistent. I would like to add new forms. Click on the arrow to go to the forms library. This is where you're going to access your state forms, your association forms, even custom office forms. If your broker participated in our custom forms programming, you see that you can access those library of forms. And in this, let's just do compensation agreement with seller. We're going to select that form. Seller representation agreement. Click and hold the control key on my keyboard and click to accept the additional form. Press and hold the control key and use the mouse to select multiple forms. That's what we're doing. I've selected 2 so far. What else would we need? Property disclosure. Press and hold the control key. Select the additional form. Disclosure, broker intent to offer. Buyer's interest. Scrolling down. Property foreclosure disclosure. No. Agency disclosure, yes. So go through the list, holding control, selecting the form. Go through the list. Select the forms that you're going to require for this new type of residential listing client or prospect. Input sheet, we'll need that. Press and hold control key, select the form. Working with transaction files allows you to work with multiple forms simultaneously, adding the selected forms to our transaction. It's also now going to allow me to autofill these forms with my transaction file detail. So as I save and exit from the wizard, that was the wizard, right? It just walked us through so we could add a couple details about our new file. Transaction templates are of value because we can automatically determine what forms we want to add to those types of transactions. Templating is a good way to go. So here we are. We've exited the wizard. We are now in what we refer to as the transaction overview. And when we think of TransactionDesk and transaction files, it really all happens here in the middle third of the screen. And from what we refer to here on the left-hand column as the dashboard. When you are working within a transaction file, this dashboard contains all of the features and services for this particular transactions. InstanetForms to add or access the forms. Contacts and participants to add or revise or update our contacts. Call logs to leave memos or notes or other correspondence with for this transaction file, capturing substantive conversations, things of that manner. Property information for the address, city, state, zip, update, revise that information. General information is the file name, it is the file status, active, pending, closed, closed file complete, that you can revise and manage the name and the status through the general information. Transaction history is going to capture all of the activity that takes place within the online file. Time and date stamped, who completed the action, what action took place. It'll even capture any value changes. If you change the list date, it'll show the old value and the new value. The history is very robust. Try to get that out of a manila folder. Transaction dates, the list date, the expiration. So are you starting to see these red bullet points? Our carryover from our wizard, the forms, the contacts, the property information, the dates. All of this we just walked through and added information to our file. At this point, too, I would like to. There's that phrase again, I would like to. Consistent phrase, I would like to. What would I like to do? Add new contacts. I would like to import data. I'm going to select this action to import property details from the MLS. I would like to import data into my existing file, clicking on the arrow. pardon my mouse just for a moment, or pardon my pause my screen. I'm going to get an MLS ID so I can show off this integration. That's always a important part of importing from the MLS, is actually having an MLS ID to pull in. Where is that ID? There it is. All right. Apologies for the delay. It's a good time for questions. Please use the chat section of the GoTo Training sidebar. If you have any questions, using the chat section of the GoTo Training sidebar, you type those questions in. We're reviewing and answering those questions as we go through this demonstration, trying to work them into the session or holding them till the end to answer those questions. So chat section, GoTo Training sidebar, chat section. MLS provider. InterMountain, property type residential, property MLS ID, import property information into our existing transaction file, integrations to import property details from the MLS into our transaction file. And you can see that it brought in an office information there in the seller's name. Well, that was, we already had it in there, but it brought in an office. We already had a listing agent there. But just to show office affiliation will be part of your member benefit. Importing property information into our transaction file. From this view, if I didn't mention it previously, I apologize. This view is the transaction overview from the red bullet points, the dashboard of red bullet points, transaction overview. I'm now going to click on the InstanetForms from the dashboard. Last red bullet point. InstanetForms, left-hand side of the screen, middle third, InstanetForms. We're going to access the forms that we've attached to this transaction file. Hopefully the other thing that you notice here is that you can add new forms to our file. I would like to phrase, add new forms, auto-populate forms, copy forms, email or delete forms, print forms to PDF. The one that we really want to talk about is auto-populate all forms. It's here. I usually use the link. For whatever reason, I usually use this auto-populate update forms link. By clicking there, all of the details from our transaction file, property information, details, dates, contact information, that information is going to be populated into our transaction forms. All those fields where seller fields or property address fields, it's wherever they are in these 5 forms that we've added, those fields will be now filled with our transaction file information. And from here, I'm just going to go to that seller representation agreement. I'm going to click on the form name to open this form in InstanetForms Editor. So this is where where the keyboard meets the contract, so to speak. This is where we were going to type up the online form. So we're going to have access to the 5 forms that we've currently attached to this transaction file. We can add more forms to this file. But otherwise, we're going to type up these online forms to then deliver them outbound via email or print, or if you choose to authenticate digital signatures, different ways to deliver these forms for digital signatures and ink signatures. Column of forms on the right-hand side of the screen. Best part about this column is probably that red minus sign at the top. Left-hand side of the screen, top third, clicking that minus sign to shrink that column against the right-hand side of the screen. You'll notice now there's a plus sign. So I can expand that column, or I can shrink that column. Populated information into my transaction contracts, my name, my seller's name, the broker's name, address, city, state, zip, legal, scrolling through, pricing, that came over from list price. All of the blue fields, those light blue fields, are fillable. Let's just say cash. Everybody takes cash and conventional. Selecting the features. Click into the field. You can see now it's activated. I'm in line 27. The cursor is blinking, and I can type, if I can, type to add details to our online contract. There are no restrictions from copying and pasting. Anything that you can copy to your computer's clipboard, so to speak, you can paste into your form fields. There are no restrictions from copying and pasting. Go through your forms. Type up all of those fillable fields. We're going Austin, throw a little Austin at you, probably still around 6, maybe 5, but go through, complete all of the required and optional fields. Type up your online forms. As you type up one form, from the column on the right, select the next form. But fillable fields, scrolling down, tab is a good key to go from one fillable field to the next. You can see we're down here in additional fees. If I click on the tab key, it'll take me to that next fillable field. Actually, not really sure where it took me there. We're in that fillable field. And my tab to the next. Range, refrigerator, dishwasher, content from our MLS that's come into our form fields. Autofill your forms. Last little bit about Forms Editor. Going to the top third of the screen, the File drop-down. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about typing up forms. I have a feeling that everyone is pretty comfortable with that option. File drop-down, top third of the screen, left-hand corner, File. We can save the changes that we make to the online form. We can save our PDF. We can export it as a PDF. We can export it out as an Adobe Reader PDF. I can print this typed up form to paper. So you can take these actions with this individual form, print it to paper, export it to PDF, save the changes I've made. I can also send it outbound via email. I can deliver an email right from InstanetForms. We're going to see this feature in just another 90 seconds to send a form packet. So this would send it as an individual form. I'm going to show we're going to send a couple forms together. Quickly running through the format, you can change the font style, color, and size through the format drop-down. View, you can zoom in or zoom out or jump to a particular page. You can add new forms to your transaction file. Right here from Forms Editor, you can access the forms library view and add more forms. You can insert clauses, this content that you create. It's a follow-up session when we talk about transaction templates, quick start groups, and clauses, and how to generate that content within your account, and then access it. Paste those clauses into your forms and contracts. Help is tutorial-based, online, screenshots, Captivate videos, and instructions on how to complete specific actions. Live is toll-free, tech chat, email, and online. Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern. So 6 to 6 Mountain Time, Monday through Friday, for that live support. Otherwise, we're just going to exit here from Form Editor. Exiting from Form Editor, prompt. I want to point out the Save prompt. Allow pop-up messages from TransactionDesk. Allow pop-ups from TransactionDesk. Back to our InstanetForms section of our Barbara Jackson transaction file. We've just come back to that page of our transaction file. What would I like to do? I would like to email selected forms or print selected forms to PDF. Printing them to PDF will merge them together. It will create one comprehensive PDF. Emailing them selected will email 3 or 4 attachments. So emailing them will keep them as separate individual forms. Selecting them, printing them to PDF will merge them together. So if we just chose the agency disclosure and representation and compensation, probably we'll just choose those 3. If we print selected forms to PDF, that would merge them together into one comprehensive PDF. If I email them, it's going to email 3 separate forms to that recipient. So let's merge them. I think everyone's pretty comfortable with emailing them. You merge these together, print selected forms to PDF. It's going to first give me the option to put them into a sort order. I want that disclosure to come first, the representation, I want the representation there to be next, and the compensation to be last. And we generated that PDF document. A link to that PDF here, center screen, click to open. It's going to open that PDF document. We can print this to paper. We could take appropriate steps to print, email, deliver this to our client for signatures and initials. Go meet with them, print it out and go meet with them for that kitchen table meeting, signing up new listings. InstanetForms and TransactionDesk. I'm going to close this PDF, back to our transaction file overview. Be very mindful of everybody's time from the dashboard on the top third left-hand side, going back to the transaction overview of our online transaction file, back to the Home tab, top center of the screen, top third center, clicking on Home. I'm going to re-raise this audio message, point out a few features here. Tungle.me/webinar Greg. If you have questions, want to schedule follow-up sessions, free webinar sessions for yourself, your office, or your team, Tungle.me/webinar Greg is our calendar for those services. Let us know days and times that would be convenient. We can tailor these sessions to your time and content that you would like to cover. And they're interactive, where you can speak and talk, and we can discuss implementation strategies, make sure everyone's getting the highest and best use of their online accounts. YouTube.com, follow me at the bottom here, youtube.com/InstanetWebinars is for recorded content. 1 to 3 minute how do I videos, 5-minute tutorials, and up to 60-minute overview sessions showing InstanetForms, AuthentiSign, DocBox, and all of the TransactionDesk platform services. If you're interested in those services, toll-free, tech support, sales and support, 800-668-8768. Thank you again very much for the opportunity to present. We will continue to take questions through that chat section and the GoToTraining sidebar, but until we webinar again, I hope you have a tremendous, tremendous day.